Over to BYU for just a minute, and then we'll get out of here. Ryder Lyons, 5-star quarterback commit. Interesting news out of that. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so this was a very, the more you peel back about BYU and BYU's recruiting, I've never been someone who dissents the way that Kalani Sitake is handling that program right now, and I'm still not. I think what he's doing is right in NIL. But I'm reading this from On3. It says, despite being one of the top quarterbacks in 2026, BYU's Ryder Lyons, now BYU, will not be on campus until 2027 after he goes on his LDS mission. Throughout his recruitment, USC, Oregon were leaders. Sources told On3, Lyons was seeking a 3-year, multi-million-dollar deal wherever he landed. That included cash before his mission, and sources have said that could be up to the $1 million mark. Now, how accurate is that? I'm not sure, but On3 is usually fairly good in their reporting. They're fine, at least. And so from there, Utah fans and others in the college football world picked up on this and said, wait a second, we remember when Clark Gilbert, who's a prominent member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is a massive part of BYU, it's the flagship university of that faith, when he says the church wouldn't weigh in on dollar amounts or this isn't a pay to play and will never be the highest bidder. BYU's kind of the highest bidder. And it's sparked controversy amongst BYU fans and Utah fans and Big 12 fans who are looking at BYU and saying, wait a second, I mean, which of these is true? And I think the big misconception here is that both can be true. You can be completely committed to a faith and completely committed to doing things the right way and within the legal bounds of college football. And you can also be stinking rich and pay the kids money because you have the money to pay the kids. And ultimately, when your athletic department wins, you're the front porch for an entire religion. And when your athletic department wins, that only brings more eyeballs to your higher cause. What is crazy about this, though, there are members, high-ranking members of the BYU, and I do want to push back a bit on pieces of this. There are high-ranking members of the church or at BYU, and which quick pause, no soapbox here. Quick pause. You're like, oh, what are you bringing up religion in sports for? It's not that. It's just that BYU is so innately tied. Every decision they make, since they are powered by the church, has the church in mind. So you have to consider that when considering BYU. It's the reason they don't play on Sundays. It's the reason they do things so differently in college athletics, but still win despite that. Unpause. Where I push back is if you're a leader at BYU, you kind of have to stop saying things like this. You can't say, oh, we won't be the highest bidder, or oh, we won't pay to play. We are in an era of pay to play for college athletes. You're in an era where the whole deal is be the highest bidder. And if you can not only be that, but also have good culture and good development, they can all go hand in hand. This isn't a knock on your program for being rich. We're not mad at BYU for being rich. The country's not looking at BYU saying, oh, those bigots over there, they have faith and they give kids money. No, they just have a commitment to a higher level of competition in athletics. But TJ, for both of us as outsiders of BYU, both of us as outsiders of their faith, and as but both of guys of faith, right? I don't mind that an institution based in religion is still playing an IL game, because if you don't, you will lose every competition. If you say, you know what, because of God, we're not giving the kids a dime. That's not gonna work. Yeah. That could never be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, is Kalani Sitake coaching for free?
Last I heard, no. Last I heard, he's
is there
the opposite.
Are there professors at college coaching for, or teaching for free? Is there athletic director going for free? This is what you do to be competitive, right? Like, you hire good coaches, you bring in good people that fit your culture, that fit what you want to do from a culture perspective. But then you have to compensate them, right? If they were paying Kalani Sitake $50,000 a year, do you think he'd still be there, no matter how strong the culture is? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. And so that's where I think that's the best parallel. And I know that's a departure from what we've known in college athletics for the last 100 plus years, right? Longer than either you or I have been along. Yeah. But that is what the game is today, right? And so, like, when we step back and we say, well, Kalani Sitake is not out there playing for free, I think that's where you look at and you say, okay, it's the same thing, right? You may not like it, you may not agree with NIL or rev sharing or any of this other stuff, but that's the line of the vein that we're in. They did not make Kalani Sitake a cheap offer to come to BYU, right? Like, they paid him fairly, and they pay everyone fairly. And so I do think you're right, though. The messaging has to be better, right?
Yeah.
There needs to be both because faith is so tied in, right? The only faith the folks in Alabama have is in Nick Saban, right? As their Lord and Savior. I think that when you do have, and it is a sensitive subject, right? And you're not trying to I'm making jokes and stuff, but like it is a sensitive subject, and there needs to be better communication and education around it as to exactly what I just said. Like, hey, man, we want to compete at the best, and we want to use this as a tool to spread our faith and to spread our culture and to spread our values and to spread what we believe in. And we're proud of our guys going out and being the very best. And when I was at Liberty, they said that at a lot of our athletic events, like, hey, man, we're doing this for something that's bigger than just our university, something that's bigger than just our football team. We're doing it for a higher calling, right. And we want to be the very best in athletics. We want to be the very best in the classroom. We want to be the very best in our extracurriculars like fine arts and this and that and the other, because we're doing it for a higher calling. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to be the best in today's game, right? And really in anything, you spend money on fine arts, you spend money on your educational buildings, you spend money on your coaches, anything you're doing it and you're spending money on it, there just needs to be better messaging around it so that you don't get this conflicting kind of, well, you said this here and you said this here. If we tighten that up, if we're BYU, I think that's where everything gets, settled, right? Everybody gets kind of happy again. And if you just win games, people will ignore a lot of this too, which they have done well. Like, I'm not saying they've done a good job.
But like, do you want to be the vacation Bible school doormat of college athletics? Do you want to be the Baylor of the 90s? I mean, TJ, early 2000s, a joke of a college football program, a joke of a college basketball program. And their whole thing was, well, we don't care about athletics. We only care about God. And if you're an atheist, if you're whatever you subscribe to, this is sports, and we keep religion out of sports the best that we can. So I'm not trying to push anything on anybody or drive you towards something. I'm saying if you are a college athletics program, you have to win at athletics, no matter what your higher calling is. And then if you do win at athletics, your higher calling is going to be furthered by that. Your sure. reach is going to be furthered by that. So you say, like, okay, why does a brand like Oklahoma State want to win? Money? Not exactly. They want to win for the furtherance of their program, to bring in more admissions, to bring in to keep the longevity of that program. I want to see my school succeed, not because it puts money in my pocket, but because it makes more people look at that and go, wow, I really like Baylor. Now I know what Baylor is. That's so damn cool to somebody who goes to a school like that. You love to see it. So that's where people get so misconstrued with, like, oh, wow, well, BYU must be evil now because they're paying players. Aren't we all? Everybody's paying players. It doesn't make you evil. And TJ, maybe a piece of this, because where this originated was, Utah fans are ragging on BYU. Maybe a big piece of this is just that rivalry being one of the most underrated rivalries in college sports.
We've talked about this. We've said it several times. The Holy War is 365 days. So, I feel like we not crap on Utah a lot, but I think we give Utah a lot hard time for the way the last year has gone. Shout out to Utah for keeping the rivalry going just another day, right? Like, good work on the Utes. I need to see, this year, I want to see a better year out of Utah, but hey, man, you at least did this right and got some people riled up. So, hey,
Well, and the Athletic making this not even a top 25 rivalry in college football. They had like Kansas and somebody super random on there, and a few that made zero. Notre Dame USC being a better rivalry right now than BYU and Utah, which I think is as someone who went to the game last year, insane. This is another iteration. I was on a radio show out there with KSL this week where we talked about how this is like a verbally violent rivalry sometimes for two really sweet fan bases by and large. This is again another blip in the chapter of the massive book.
Yeah, enjoy it. Drake, where can people follow you? Where can they find your work, bud?
Yeah, at Drake C. Toll on Twitter, or at Locked On Big 12, wherever you find your podcasts, and on YouTube, also on Twitter as well, at LO Big 12.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. Always good, TJ.